Pollock.
Justin, I got to tell you, welcome back. I didn't hear a thing you said over the music, but
Fantastic.
we'll work out that kink before. That's a live show for you. Okay. Welcome back, Justin. It's so good to be back with you on the air.
It's great to be back. My goodness, I'm loving the new logo. I'm loving the new name. I think that describes us to a T. Offbeat and awkward.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the guests. It's about our awkward personalities.
It's about us. Totally.
Yes, very much so.
I told a friend that we were renaming the show, and they said Offbeat and awkward. So which one of you is Offbeat and which one of you is awkward? And my response was yes.
Exactly. Both of us. Yes. Welcome back, everybody. I see a lot of people tuning in already. Okay. Just and for the record, happy Rosh Hashanah, happy New Year to all my Jewish watchers out there. And I just want to explain up front, this is not a cold sore. I had chicken soup at Rosh Hashanah dinner. I was a little greedy and took a piece of chicken out of the pot and got what I had coming to me.
That's it.
If I could have seen that coming ahead of time, I would never have done it. Which brings me a brilliant segue to our guest.
Brilliant segue.
Today.
Yes.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this guy for a long time. He's come highly recommended from a mutual friend of ours. And I'm just gonna bring him out. Please welcome the world-renowned psychic comedian Artie Hoffman.
Hey, thank you. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for stopping in, Artie. That was our show.
Right now.
Thank you. I had a really good time. You guys were great. I hope you have me back again. Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah. Artie, welcome, man. Welcome to the Offbeat and Awkward show.
No, it's a pleasure to be here. Being a psychic for over 34 years now, I fell into this. I wasn't born with the gift, or if I did have the gift, I never knew it. Nobody ever told me. No, there were other psychics who says, you know what, when I was in my early 20s, you have the gift also. I said, yeah. I couldn't appreciate what they were saying. I said, yeah, just tell me about my love life and my money. That's all I care about. I don't want to hear this. I got this psychic stuff going on and stuff. I said, yeah. I could care less, to be honest with you, at that time. And, there was a time in my life when I was about 27 years old, very frustrated in my life at that time. I had everything going right for me. I really did. I had a lot of great things going right for me. I am, my own window cleaning, power washing business was very successful. It's actually, I still have it. It's 40 years later. I still have it. It's called Peeping Tom's Window Cleaning.
Oh, wow.
Where's my drum set?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And on my card, it says binoculars not included. So you better have a sense of humor if you're going to hire me. So it's true, too.
I was just going to ask you, is that true? Is that really?
Yeah. If you Google Peeping Toms, you'll see me. You'll see my company there. I'm not trying to solicit my company. I'm just telling you. So that's what I was doing. I was
married. This is about you. You can solicit.
Oh, okay. So like I said, I had, I was married, had everything going right for me, lots of friends, and everything was going fun, but yet I still was very unsatisfied inside. I just felt like there was a lot more in my life than just what I was doing. And I'm having a little conversation with God because, like I said, I was very frustrated, but I didn't know why. And I said, God, I need answers. I need clear answers. And I said, when you deliver them to me, I said, please don't scare the hell out of me. So a couple of days later, I walk into my kitchen from work. I come into my house and I see this junk mail. And for some reason, rather than just throw it away really quickly, I was sifting through it all. And there was a postcard there and it said, how would you like to develop your psychic ability and intuitiveness? Come to the Edgar Cayce Foundation for this one weekend seminar in Virginia Beach. And I thought it was wow, I didn't know you could learn how to do this. I thought either you had it or you didn't. So I asked my wife, who was my wife at the time, I said, "You want to try this?" I said, "This looks pretty interesting." She says, "No, I don't give a shit about that. You can go if you want. I don't want to do it." So hence the ex-wife. But anyway, um, so I went away for that one weekend, and there's about 50 of us from all different parts of the country in this one very large room at the Edgar Cayce Foundation. And long story short, they basically taught you how to open up your heart and mind to be 100% unconditional with your thoughts and your feelings. And the way they were speaking and the music, and it got you in that beautiful safe zone. It was beautiful. It was very nice. So they broke us up into little groups, and they said, whoever you're paired with, just don't judge it. Just share it with the other person, your thoughts or your feelings, whatever you get. And so I did, and people were telling me how accurate I was. And I was like kind of blown away that I never met these people before. And here I am, I'm able to tell them things about myself because I got myself in that certain frame of mind. So after that weekend was over, I was so excited by the connections that I made. I got myself a deck of spiritual cards, and I started reading for friends and family for a few years for nothing. It was just for the fun of it. And again, people were telling me how accurate I was. And I was like blown out of the water. I honestly felt like a little schoolboy just blowing smoke up their ass, just telling them stories just to say something because I didn't know what to say. I just spoke at the top of my head.
Are you good at reading? Are you good at reading people off, not reading people psychically, like psychologically speaking? Are you good at talking to a person?
Yeah. I could put two and two together. Yeah. Growing up, this is really cool. Growing up, I always wanted to become a therapist because I was always very good with, judging people's character and knowing people. And I thought I had very good common sense when it came to psychological and people. I thought it was very good, but I sucked at school, and I wasn't very scholastic. I was average student at best. That was it. And, so I didn't go to college. And then here I am, I fall into this psychic world, the spiritual world. And the interesting, and like I said, I always wanted to become a therapist, but I didn't have the brains for it, the brain power for it, the patience, the money, it wasn't me, the school thing. So here I am, I learned about being spiritual and opening up my vibes. And the interesting thing is I have therapists who come see me for answers now. And people call me their psychic therapist. I've been dubbed that many a times. I am the psychic therapist because a lot of times it's not just about telling people about their future or their future love or whatnot. It's not always the problem isn't always the problem of what people have. It's how you personally handle the situation or the person. And, when you have a good understanding behind the scenes, and I'm able to see that when you have a good understanding of why things are the way they are or how they've been viewing things, and I could see these things, I give people back their power. And that's probably one of my greatest gifts when I do readings for people. I give people back their power. And it's really cool. And then once I change their perception of themselves and about the situation or about life or about, the people they are dealing with, once I change their perception, their whole life changes for the better. And now I can give them a better reading now that they have this newfound knowledge, because I'm able to explain things to them very well. So, and it's really cool. And I get right to the core of what the problem is. Like I said, it's not always the problem that's the problem. It's how they emotionally feel inside or how they're dealing with someone or something. And it's a game changer. So the interesting thing is, in my book, I wrote 2 books. One is called Angels and Answers. And my other book that I wrote is called Have Your Angels Call My Angels. And these 2 books are a game changer. It's like I talk about very deep subjects about life and why do bad things happen to good people and why do good things happen to bad people. And I explain to people in my books, you can get it on artiehoffman.com or amazon.com. And you know, so it's funny. So in my one book, Angels and Answers, I give a little history about myself. And I told everybody that I went to college for 2 years, even though I really didn't. But in my book, I wrote, I went to the University of Boston and Maryland for 2 years, but that was just to visit my friends. So, yeah. So anyway, I kind of developed this gift from doing it more and more. It's like anything, you know, the more you practice something, more you do it, the better you become at it. And I don't look for people's approval when I'm doing readings.
So you go in with all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, I just, you know, it's called blind faith. And I just, you know, I just basically, you know, I'm like Moses with the staff. It's like, who am I to go to there and try to do all this magic and have it? And God said, don't worry about it. Just go there. I'll take care of the rest. Just go there. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything.
That's such a Jewish response. I love the concept of a Jewish psychic. I'm a shtuka as well.
You'll love this one better. I have a little catchphrase that I use sometimes for our Jewish audience. I call Artie Hoffman psychic. It says psychic medium, Jew with a clue. And Goomba Johnny actually crowned me with that title. He said that. He was really funny.
I know him.
Yeah, Goomba Johnny. He was a top DJ in New York City. He was the #1 DJ in New York City at one time. And
I haven't seen him in years.
Yeah, and so now he does stand-up. That's what he does for a living. Yeah. Does traveling stand-up. He's a very funny guy. He really is. He had a very interesting life. So I had lunch with him in the city, and he looked at me. He goes, "Look at you, Artie Hoffman, Jew with a clue." And it was just so funny. He just came up with it that quick. And it just stuck. So I use that every now and again. You know, I'm also known as Artie Hoffman. On my other card, it says Artie Hoffman, the hottest psychic with the warmest heart. So I like that one also. So one of my other friends, I don't know if you ever heard of him. I just drew a blank. Oh my God, Mike Marino. Close friend. We're tight friends. I forgot his name. No, Mike Marino is an Italian. He's an Italian comedian, and I heard him say this one joke, and I said, Mike, that's my favorite joke. I said, I'm going to use that every time I do a live show or, for live audiences and stuff. I said, I love it. And so here it is. He says, you know, that little boy from The Sixth Sense, he says, I see dead people. He says, if that little kid was in an Italian family, kid, you saw nothing, you saw nobody. You get out of here. You saw nobody. You didn't see any dead people. So anyway, so here it is. Like I said, I fell into it. That postcard, the seminar. I did it for a few years just for the fun of it. And then I needed some extra money in my life. And I threw an ad in the paper. And it said, if I don't pull through, no charge. And 90% of the people paid me. And the other 10% I had to kill.
Oh my God.
So, and
you see nothing though.
What was this?
Yeah, you could kill them without being there. You could just kind of use your powers. And
I use my power. I got the power. Bum, 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 bum. So, no, but people get nervous. I don't like when people are nervous around me. It's like I want them to always feel very comfortable with me. I don't put my ego out there at all when I'm doing readings, whether it be privately or with a show. It's like I never know what's going to happen or what's going to be said. And that's what I mean by blind faith, So when I go and do my thing, it's not until the moment then my angels pull through or their loved ones who passed away pull through and just thoughts come in. And the crazy thing is, like, a lot of times, not all the time, sometimes people can relate to what I say in the moment. And other times it's not until days, weeks, months, or even over a year later that 2 and 2 equals up. I'm very good at describing people's future love, and I'm a medical intuitive. I've given people legal advice. I've even given winning lottery numbers, but it has to come to me. I can't just, if somebody says, oh, what's the lottery number?
That's a lot of pressure.
I know it's like I can't do that, you know. Or Art, if you're that good of a psychic, then how come you're not a billionaire? It's like, no, that's a damn good question, but I'm not. I said I was a good psychic. I didn't say I was a great psychic. No. So, but
I mean, I've had a lot of coincidences. You know, I thought there's a woman my wife and I know named Dina who works at this food store, and I thought, you know, she would love the store that my wife works at. And the thought came to my head. Laura called me and she said, "Who's that woman from the supermarket? She's in the store." I thought, "Oh my God, I have a gift. I have a superpower." But I think that's a coincidence. But you seem to have tapped into that.
yeah, I have a lot of coincidences. I've been, like I said, I've been doing it for 34 years now. So, and it's pretty much so served me pretty well. And, I give people advice, not everything's written in stone just because there's no matter how great or how good one psychic is, nobody's ever 100%. As far as being considered a really good psychic, and if I'm doing it for that long, and I've read for over 30,000 people in my career, no exaggeration, you have to be doing something right. There was a point to this. Shoot, I just went off the track.
Justin, quick, sing some opera.
Some opera.
No. So here, I wanted to tell you this one story. I told you not everything's written in stone. So there's what's known as psychic probabilities. So things could are capable of happening. It doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, and I'm going to tell you this one story. I mean, I got thousands of stories, but I'm going to tell you this one story that I usually say. So this one girl walks into my apartment and to where I do my readings. And she said to me, she said, "Art," she goes, "I've been thinking about you every single day for the last 2 years." So I'm flattered, I'm not attracted, but I'm flattered. And I said, "Okay." I said, "So why were you thinking about me for 2 years?" She goes, "Because you did a reading for me here 2 years ago. And you read for me in your kitchen. You held my hand. And as soon as you held my hand, you started singing the song by AC/DC, Highway to Hell. I'm going to highway to hell." And I do hear a lot of songs in my reading. So in other words, whatever that song is about, that's what's going on with that person. So she said, "You looked at me, and after you held my hand and you sang that song, you looked at me and you said, 'I'm doing something right now I should not be doing. And if I don't stop, I'm going to get caught and get thrown in jail.'" And a week later after that, I didn't listen to what you had to say. And I got caught at doing something I should not have been doing. And I got thrown in jail for 2 years. So, and every day I woke up and I said to myself, why didn't I listen to Artie? Why didn't I listen to Artie? Now, the reason why I told you that, it didn't have to happen to her, but the ego is very strong and the ego wants what it wants. So even though you know in your heart, in your gut, that you can get hurt, or you might lose, or whatever, something's not right, but your ego wants what it wants. So you keep on doing it, whether it be the relationship, whether it be the food, whether it be going to gamble, whether it be whatever it is. And if you don't follow your gut, it could hurt you, and your soul is trying to speak to your higher conscience to say, hey, make wiser choices. But again, the ego is really strong and it wants what it wants. So a lot of times we say, screw it, I'll pay the price later. I need to try this. I want to push this envelope. So, so like I said, so I predict things. And then there are times where if I see a car accident under certain circumstances and I'm describing it, it doesn't mean it has to happen, but just by me telling you it, you're going to become more defensive on what to watch out for when I'm giving, a reading. It could be about a relationship. It could be, literally.
It could be a metaphor.
I'm sorry?
It could be a metaphor for something, not specifically a car accident, but.
Right. Not everything is literal. But no, when I tell people what I see with car accidents, no, usually that is literal. But I get a lot of messages that do come through metaphorically. And then I have to try to play a clues clue game and try to figure it out. And a lot of times when I put it out there to the person who I'm reading, they could put two and two together based on what I'm telling. Like they'll understand what I'm talking about. Other times I know exactly what I'm talking about. And there are people who have denied me what I told them. And that's why I tell everybody, I said, record your sessions with me, because when you re-listen to it, you know, in the near future or later on in the future, you're going to see how accurate or how right the words that I had to say to you were, you know. And
do you remember? I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, that's okay. So the recordings have definitely saved my ass. So anytime anyone gets a reading and a psychic says, "Oh, you shouldn't record it. The spiritual world doesn't like that, or it's not good." No, the bottom line is that the psychic simply does not want to be recorded because they don't want to be proven wrong that they sucked. So
that's a very solid point. Do you remember the first time you gave a psychic reading and wasn't intimidating?
yeah, one of the first ones I read for, yeah. Because like I said, when I first started doing readings, that's why I said when I first started doing readings, I said, if I don't pull through, no charge. But literally 90% pulled through, because I literally felt like I was just telling a story. Like I was just doing pretend, and people again were just telling me I was very accurate. So this lady came in and she wanted to know about her best friend, and I was giving all this information. She kept saying, no, no, no. And then I said, I'm seeing you with rosary beads. And I said, and here's the date that I said, and I saw, and she says, no, no, no. And I'm giving all this other information in regards to her friend. And she couldn't relate to next to anything I had to say in regards to her friend. So I said, all right, don't worry about it. I said, you know, I tried and it just didn't work. So less than a week later, I got a check from the lady for my session. And I also got a little note. And she says, Art, she goes, you know, I came in wanting to communicate to my best friend. And instead, all the information that you gave me was about my mother. And you mentioned the name, and that was my mother's middle name. And you gave me a date, and that was the day that she died. And you mentioned about rosary beads, and I have her rosary beads. And so she says, you were accurate. It just happened to be with my mother and not my best friend. So I feel like I owed you the money because you gave me what I needed to hear.
That's wild. And the woman was honest too. I mean,
she was honest, and it was crazy. You know, some people, you know, they're not so honest, and other people are like incredibly honest. It's just, you meet people of all walks of life, and you know, it's whatever. You know, with everything, you take the good with the bad, and you just go with it. You know, I try to be a very open and trusting person. You know, so yeah, it's really interesting with all the people that I've met. I'd probably say my favorite reading of all the thousands of people that I've read, my favorite. I do have a favorite, and this gentleman calls me up, and he said, and his voice sounded very depressing, very sad, and he says, Art, he goes, can you see me for a reading? He says, I need one really bad. And I usually don't take people right away, but I could hear it in his voice. And I said, sure. I said, come see me tomorrow. And it was a Saturday. I said, come see me tomorrow. I think it was about 1 or 2 o'clock. And he came in, and, you know, I shook his hand. And right away, I started talking to him about the meaning of his life. And I started talking about the meaning of life itself. And I gave him like information about his purpose and how to look at things. And I didn't know why I was talking to him like this, but I was. And after his reading was over, he was so grateful because I gave him such a healthy perspective about his life, because he was feeling very vulnerable to a lot of people, and he was pretty successful as a person, but he just was not a happy person at all. And after I did a reading for him, he says, you know, we stood up and he gave me a big hug, and he goes, Art, thank you. He goes, you saved my life. And, you know, a lot of people say nice things like that. And I said, oh, you know,
that's
it was
a pretty
my pleasure.
Powerful statement.
Yeah. He says, no, he says, you really did save my life. He goes, I wrote a suicide note, and I was going to kill myself tomorrow morning. But after listening to what you had to say, he goes, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to live and have a better life.
That's
So,
awesome.
so you know, so
You always have that.
That was just an amazing moment, you know. And again, even though my information is pretty accurate about a lot of things that I say, I always give credit to the Holy Spirit and to the angels, because they're the ones who give me the answers to be right. Not one psychic in the world knows the answers themselves. It's given to them. It's literally given to them from the other side instantly. You know, when you're really good, when you have that communication with them, that the rapport with the angels of the spiritual world, and they give you the answer like this. So it seems like, you know, my license plate says, I just know. And the reality is, the only reason why I know what I know is because I look in the back of the book for all the answers. And so they give it to me. And so, you know, the spiritual world makes me look really good. So if you saw the movie Ghost, and there's Patrick Swayze, who's the ghost, and Whoopi Goldberg. I'm Whoopi Goldberg, and there's a bunch of Patrick Swayze on the other side giving me all the answers.
I love that
lucky
analogy.
you.
So that's really what it's all about, you know. And I'm blown away by some of the things. And it was really interesting. So here I am. I'm at a Carvel store. I'm at an ice cream store, and I was just, you know, getting into my car, licking my ice cream, and there's these group of 5 people who were sitting on the bench along the building, you know, all having their ice cream. And just as I was getting in, a lady said to me, she goes, "Hey, I like your license plate." I said, "Oh, thanks." I said, "That's because I'm a psychic. That's why." She goes, "Because my license plate says, I just told you, I just know."
Yeah.
And she says, "I know." She says, "You did a reading for me 3 years ago." And she goes, "And you predicted him with her husband right next to me." She says, 3 years ago, you predicted him. She goes, you told me his personality, you told me his look, and you told me what he did for a living. And I had him listen to the tape that you gave us. Back then, I had cassette tapes, not anymore, because they don't exist. So you have to record it on your phone now. So the guy said, he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "You nailed it." And she goes, "And you told me that his letters started with the name J." She goes, "His name is J." And so, you know, it was just like, I was just blown away by the moment. And it's the spiritual world just giving me affirmations that, you know, Art, just keep going with what you're doing, and we got your back, you know, we got you covered. And there are some people who think, oh, that really wasn't great, or it was just so-so, or whatever. But the thing is, not everyone is open to understand, because they only see in tunnel vision what they want to see, how they want to see it, you know?
Of course. So let me ask you, though, changing the subject a little bit. You, besides the readings, you do a stage show too, don't you?
What do you mean? Oh yeah, I do. Well, it is a reading still. I have a Facebook Live show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, called Angels and Answers, and I read people for free for 1 hour. And so people type in their questions, and I have a wonderful assistant behind the scenes. She reads the questions to me. So even though
we lost you,
I can't really see the questions, because the questions are going by really quick, and I'm just looking at the camera. I don't want to like stop, look, read, and then do it, you know, because I need to stay in that zone, you know. So I have somebody read off the questions for me, and yeah, like I said, it's really cool. And you know, and I communicate. And what's interesting is, like, here's somebody saying, "Hey, you know, so my grandmother Margaret, does she have anything to say to me? She passed away 3 years ago." And I'll give all this information, and I tell people, even though it's not your question, or even though it's not your relative, if you can relate to the specific messages that I'm saying to you, then yes, this also has to do for you too. And lots and lots of people would say to me, "Art, you know, my mother overtook your whole show, because everything you said related to my mother. You gave the names and the dates and the situations. It shows that was all me to a T." So, you know, so there's more than, you know, so when I give a message, it's more than just for one person at times. So, and I have no control over that. It just happens when it does. And
that's wild. I'm anxious to get a reading from you at some point, because I'm just really blown away by all these stories.
Yeah, I'm blown away by it myself. When people come, and I really mean that too. It's like when people come to see me and they'll say, "Hey, Art, you predicted this, you predicted that, you predicted." There was this one lady, and I said to her, and I don't remember this. She emailed me a year and a half later. I kept saying to her, "Who's born?" I said, "Your mother's pulling through." I said, "There's a child born on Valentine's Day." She goes, "No." I said, "Yeah." I said, on Valentine's, I'm seeing a female being born on Valentine's Day. She goes, "No, there's," I said, "Check with your family history or something." I said, "That's what I'm seeing." So a year and a half later, she emailed me. She goes, "Art, you did a reading for me a year and a half ago. And you told me about there was a female that was to be born on Valentine's Day, or there was a female born in my family." She goes, "A year later, my niece gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and she was born on Valentine's Day. And her mother told her this a year in advance." So it was pretty.
That's wild.
Another really cool story that I think you'll appreciate. So here I am. I'm doing. People hire me to go to their house, and I do what's known as Artie parties. So people hire me, and I read for their friends and family, and I go into a separate room, and whether it be the bedroom or the basement or whatever, whatever is where it's private, and I read people individually. So here I am. I'm in this beautiful basement of someone's house, and this one nice lady comes to sit with me, and she's probably about 8 years older than me, maybe 10. And she said to me, she goes, "Art, I got to tell you something before you start." She goes, "You read for me here at this house 2 years ago. And you told me that if I'm not a gambler, I need to start taking up gambling because you saw me winning tens of thousands of dollars. You said I need to start doing scratch offs or go to Atlantic City because you saw me winning all this money." And she goes, "And I told you I'm not a gambler, and I'm still not a gambler." She goes, "I never gamble." She goes, "But let me tell you what happened 6 months after that reading. 6 months later was my birthday. And so I invited my boys, my 3 boys, to come over with the kids to help celebrate my birthday. And one of my sons gave me a few of the $2 birthday scratch offs. And on my first $2 birthday scratch off, I won $50,000.
Oh my God. I feel like that happens to everybody but me.
Join the bandwagon. You just got to feel like you're worthy. That's all. So, it was really cool. I see what I see. And like I said, I don't remember telling her that. She told me 2 years. I remember the cool stories after the fact. When I'm in the zone with people, I don't remember jack shit. I don't remember what I tell people because I'm in a different zone. But and most psychics, our memories suck because
that's like when you're in performance mode, you're in another place. You're in that character.
Yeah, another zone. Absolutely. And then I remember the cool stories because now I'm in a conscious state of mind, and they're telling, "Art, you said this, you said that," and I'm listening to it like she's talking about some other psychic who made this incredible prediction. I said, "Wow, that was really cool."
Like, Artie,
and
that was you
who did that, and I don't remember. But you can't appreciate it in the moment because they couldn't appreciate it in the moment because the information hasn't happened yet. Shit hasn't happened yet. So, but yeah, it's a pretty cool gig. I got to tell you, to help out people. And again, it's about helping people get unstuck within themselves or in their relationships or with their job or whatever. And it's fear that blocks a lot of people from moving on. That's what it is. They're afraid to be alone. They're afraid to try something new. They're afraid of changes. There's a saying like, "Listen, I might got crap, but at least I know the crap I got," And so people allow themselves to stay comfortable in the uncomfortableness because it's familiar to them, even though it's not where they belong. So what happens is that your life becomes more painful or more challenging until you're forced to have to change, and the pains become greater. And it didn't have to be that way, but because you were stubborn enough, because you have a high tolerance level of pain, you didn't change when you could have changed before to make things better earlier, but you just chose to get whacked in the face again and again and again. And people look at that, "Oh, well, that's normal," or "That's just the way it is," or "Oh, well," or "I just keep on attracting crap in my life. It is what it is." No, it's because you keep on thinking that's all you deserve. But if you think that's all you deserve is McDonald's hamburgers, well, then you're going to get McDonald's hamburgers. But if you think that's all you deserve is McDonald's hamburgers, well, then you're going to keep on getting McDonald's hamburgers until you start asking for steak. And what's going to happen is the universe is going to still throw your McDonald's hamburgers to challenge you. And you got to say, nope, I don't want it. I'd rather starve. I'd rather go without. I'd rather do something else or have something else. But until my steak comes along, that's when I'm going to start eating again. So it's all up to you, you know.
I think all that, as far as referring to me, because what you just described is how I feel a lot of the time. I think that comes inherent in being Jewish.
Yeah, the guilt.
The guilt,
feel guilty.
the self-deprecating.
Yeah, you beat yourself up, you know. And
oh yeah.
And I never know what I'm going to say. Like going into this show, I didn't know I was going to say this, but there's a reason why I say what I say in the moments. When I do different shows, I have different stories or different situations. So you needed to hear that, but you know, you don't have to take it, and just take it as a lesson, but it doesn't have to keep on repeating itself, you know? So it's like, you know, when you talk about, you know, say coming from a Jewish background, and they're talking about the slavery and, you know, the stories and stuff, it's like, okay, I can appreciate the fact that, you know, we overcame a lot of grief. We overcame a lot of prejudices and stuff like that. But I don't have to keep on reliving it. Like, you'll never see me at the Holocaust museums. I don't have to relive that moment based on all the pain of other people because of one jerk who created a nation of hatred towards Jewish people and other people too, not just Jewish people. You know, I don't have to relive it within myself. I don't feel like it's necessary.
No,
you know?
I agree. I mean, I went once, and I thought I never have to do this again. I regret going because it was too heavy, too intense.
Yeah, it's very heavy. And listen, for people to live through that torture and stuff, and it's like, no, you want to live through the life of Jesus. All right, let me beat the hell out of you and see if you could tolerate that kind of pain. You know, so it's like a lot of times when people, you know, will doubt whether even if there's a God or not. And, you know, and they said, well, if there really was a God, then why would there be so much torture? Or why would children be hurting? Or why all the pain and suffering and the rapes and all of this other beatings and stuff? But you also have to remember that it's by conscious choice and decisions of the public that allows it to happen, you know, stuff like this to happen. But when you say that, you know, how can God allow this to happen? But you also have to remember that Jesus, who is supposedly the Son of God, God didn't stop that from happening either. Jesus was beaten, you know, and that was the Son of God. I mean, granted, it all came out in the end pretty good stuff after the fact, but, you know, God doesn't stop anything from happening, and that's what free will is about. So you have control of the quality of what you choose to experience. And people might feel stuck in the moment because they don't have the money or the resources or whatever. But if you're at least working on a plan, so whether it be a few weeks, a month, a couple of years, whatever it is, but so long as you're working on something to improve your status or situation, at least you're not stuck on the same hamster wheel thinking like, oh, well, this is it. Life sucks. This bites. This is the hand I was dealt with. Guess what? You don't like your hand? You're allowed to throw in your hands and ask for a new hand, a new set of cards. You don't have to stick with the same old.
Exactly.
So, and a lot of people think they have to stick with the same old, and you don't. So here, to everyone who's watching, congratulations. I just gave you parole. You no longer have a life sentence.
Happy Yom Kippur.
There you go.
It's a new year. New year, new you.
You know, I would say, you know, when I went to temple with my family, and I would be sitting next to my brother, and there's a section in the Bible, you know, where everyone, you know, in temple during the high holidays, you know, you beat your heart. Our Father, our King, forgive me for I've done this. Our Father, our King, forgive me for I've done that. And it lists like about 100 of them. And I looked at my brother. I said, I didn't do half this shit. Why am I asking for forgiveness with that? You know, I'll claim what I did wrong, but I didn't do all of that. You know, but I always ask every day in my life, and I mean this sincerely, every day in my life, I say my own set of prayers to my angels, because we all have guardian angels, all of us. I say a prayer to my angels and to the Holy Spirit. And the simple prayer that I say, and I say this at the end of my show, I call upon all my loving guardian angels. Thank you for intervening into my life today. I'm asking them to intervene into my life. Thank you for intervening into my life today, helping create peace, harmony, balance, and serenity. Thank you for all the beautiful gifts and miracles you wish to share with me today. I graciously accept it all. And thank you for the beautiful white light of heaven to watch over myself, my daughter, all my helpers, my close friends, and my family. In the name of the Holy Spirit, amen. And I say that, and when if shit was to happen, I just have to let things be. And things will play out, and you'll see that things will work out when you stop stressing out about every little thing in your life, because so many people are micromanaging or micro worrying about every little thing, that they get in their own way and they don't allow the spiritual world or the angels to try to make things better, because you're trying to control every little thing. Sometimes you just have to say F it, and that's it. It's like there's nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. And then I accept whatever it may be, and then things always work itself out. You know,
you summed me up, and things do work itself out. You're right, especially
saying that describes what makes you happy and excited. Did that answer your question?
Yes, Alexa just went on all by itself. I
was so confused.
She interrupted. The angels are intervening, explaining about angels.
Your guardian angel's Alexa.
Yeah, that's right. And she's beautiful, baby.
Justin, were you going to say something early?
So I was, because I hate to go like all the way back, but you know, Artie, you had mentioned about how you are really good at reading people, and I was curious. Now, did this start with being able to read people well and then tuning into the angels, or did you realize after you have this spiritual set of voices that speak to you, are you realizing, was this your intuition all along? Or how has this journey, as far as coming from someone with good intuition, being able to read people well, how has that grown? Or did you notice that you're just tapping into something that was already always there, or something that you were already using? I'm just curious, how has this opened up to you now that you're on, you know, at where you are 30 plus years later? In retrospect, what has this journey been so far for you?
You know, whether it be tapping into the spiritual world, my guardian angels, your loved ones who passed away, the Holy Spirit, I really don't care. So long as I get the answers, I don't care who's ever available. I was like,
that's a great answer.
Thank you for the moment. You know, I don't have to know, oh, this is coming. You know, but when I am connecting to a loved one when I am doing a reading in the moment, you know, if I'm looking at a picture, when I connect to people's loved ones who passed away, on the most part, when I do individual readings and stuff, I'd like to look at the people's, or when I'm doing a live show, like literally a live show, not a Facebook live show, but for an audience, a live audience. I like to look at pictures so I could zero in on that person's energy. I don't always need a picture, but I started off and I didn't realize where it was coming from. It was the spiritual world, or it was the angels, or I didn't care. I didn't know, or whatever. But like I said, I do ask for wisdom and prayers, and, you know, I always give my thanks. And it's just, you know, and when I first started reading, I would hold on to people's, objects, you know, keys, jewelry, whatever. I got a cute story for you on this one. So, or I would look at your picture. I couldn't just be with you right now and say, and give you a reading like that before. I couldn't. I would have to say, well, give me a picture of yourself. I'll look into your eyes. And then all of a sudden messages start coming to me. That's how I was trained. So somebody once said to me, says, Art, can you talk to dead people? I said, dead people? I said, I never thought of trying to talk to dead people. And I said, it wasn't even a thought. I you know, because I was just trained as a psychic, not as a medium. Medium is someone who could communicate to the dead. I didn't even know that existed. So I said, I don't know. So anyway, it was one of my clients. And then so she says, here's a picture of my grandmother. Can you tell me something about her? And boom, 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 boom. 12 things in a row came to me. 9 out of 12 she could relate to in detail what I was saying to her. And I said, wow, I guess I could talk to dead people. I didn't even know that was possible. But yeah, it was at that moment. And that was like going back probably, again, about 30 years ago. I've been doing it for 34 years. So yeah, so that was really, really interesting. That was an epiphany moment. And so anyway, tell you the funny story. Now, mind you, the story I'm about to tell you, I'm very good at judging people's character, and I know what I can get away with. So if they had this girl who I'm about to do a reading for, she had a very playful, open, vivacious personality. All right. So you have to know that it wasn't an old lady. It wasn't somebody who was sad or somebody who was staunched or somebody who was angry. She had a very playful, outgoing personality. So she sits down in front of me and she's like this, and she goes, all right. How do we do this? What do you need from me? Whatever. I said, all right. I said, just give me your keys or a piece of your jewelry and I'll read from you. And I'll read you. And she goes, well, I didn't drive here, so I don't have my keys. And as you see, I'm wearing no jewelry. So what's next? So I said, all right, take off your shirt and I'll read Braille.
Did not see that coming.
But, so the bottom line, so what I do now when I'm live with people, if I'm not reading cards, I'll hold people's hands, and the moment I hold their hand, I'll just start getting information coming right to me. I look at tarot cards. I don't really read tarot cards, but when I flip the tarot cards, it sends me messages by the energy of the tarot cards. So when I'm flipping the cards, I say, well, Art, what does that card mean? What does that card mean? And I says, damned if I know. I don't know. I don't know what each card means. I really don't. But when I flip them, oh my God, I just start going into the spiritual world. I could take a regular plain deck of cards and do the same thing, and I'll just look at it. It's the act of doing it. Just, I can't explain it. It's like I know how to drive a car really well, but I don't know a damn thing about mechanics. Yeah, but I could drive a car really well. So it's really interesting.
So what's next for you? Do you have anything on the horizon?
Yeah, I do. There's a lady who called me up. She wants to do, and it's going to be on my website soon. It's not on yet, but a lady called me up who I did a reading for, and I have to tell you this story. She wants me to do cruises. She books cruise lines. She wants me to do shows on cruise lines, and that's what she does for a living. So anyway, I said to her, I said, you're going to need some plumbing work done. This is what sold her, because I didn't know who she was or what she did. And she thought the reading was just mediocre or whatever. And I said, you're going to need some work done to your house, something to do with the piping. And I said, but don't go with the first estimate. I said, get like 2 or 3 estimates, because I feel like the first estimate, they're going to really like try to take you for a ride. And she said a month later, her pipes behind the wall burst, and there was also something wrong with the pipe underneath the kitchen sink, connected with her dishwasher or whatever. So the guy came in, and she told me this story. She says the guy came in, gave me an estimate, and he says, yeah, we're going to have to knock down the wall. We're going to have to replace this pipe. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do that. $10,000 later. And it was an expense that her and her husband were not expecting, but they said, you know what? We got to do it. It's got to be done. And so she said, I remembered Artie telling me that there was going to be an issue with my piping, and he said not to go with the first estimate. So she went to another guy right there afterwards, and he assessed the situation. And the pipe also had to do with the spigot outside of her house. I forgot about that part. And he goes, yeah, we're going to have to connect this to this, to that, to that. So the guy says, yeah, I'll just, the guy basically just replaced a couple of pieces underneath the sink and replaced this. The whole thing ended up costing her about $400 or $500. Everything was completely fixed without tearing down the walls. And she goes,
saved her a ton of money.
And she goes, Artie, I only did that only because I remembered you saying that I need to get the second or third estimate, that you felt like the first guy was going to rip me off. Like you saw me having pipe problems, and I did. And I wasn't back then, but I did. And then lo and behold, she goes, I remembered what you said, and I took heed to it. So it was really cool.
That's awesome. I love the whole concept. You're not a plumber, but the whole concept of a psychic plumber giving plumbing advice.
Oh, I got news for you.
That would be a great movie.
I was doing a Facebook Live, on my Facebook Live show, and a lady called me up about her horse. And she goes, Art, my horse is losing a lot of weight, and it's not acting right. It's not eating properly at all. It's hardly eating. Can you please tell me what the problem is? And I told her, and I said, there's a problem with the digestive system. I said, there's a connection between the stomach and his intestines. And when it transfers from food into, crap, literally horse manure, I said, there's a problem with it. And I said that his body's not breaking it down. I said, I feel like there's a lot of inflammation and the horse is in pain there. So she called back the vet, and she got back on my Facebook Live show the following week. And she goes, Art, she goes, I need to give you a testimonial. She goes, I had the vet come back and I had him check out that area because he already was there and he couldn't figure out what it was. But he checked out that specific area of the horse and he did an x-ray there, and his intestines were totally inflamed and it was beyond repair. And it was the stomach to the intestines, and the food wasn't being broken down. And it was very painful for the horse to go to the bathroom and all that stuff. So they couldn't fix it. So they ended up having to put the horse down, unfortunately. She goes, the vet confirmed everything that you said was to be true. Now, again,
that's amazing. You truly have a gift.
I'm not a vet. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a candlestick maker, but
out of all those, candlestick maker would be the closest, though.
Yeah, I do burn a lot of candles. I have 6 candles burning 24/7 in my place for all different reasons. I keep the energy alive in my place, so I have a good mojo going. But and again, it's all about having a sense of humor and having fun with what I do, and I like to be inspirational. And people ask me, Art, do you ever give bad news? Well, I never tell people when they're going to die because that doesn't serve a positive purpose. If somebody's already on their deathbed and you're taking care of them, and you want to know how much longer, I might be able to help you out with that. But I would never tell somebody, oh, I see you're going in about 3 years or 5 years or whatever. I'm more inspirational and stuff. Now, do I see certain bad news while I'm reading people? I might, I do, but it depending on the information. Like if I saw somebody say, if I felt they might have cancer or they have a major heart problem or whatever's going on, I would simply say you need to see a doctor because I'm seeing an issue in your chest area or over here or over there. But you need to see a doctor because I'm seeing the ailments, I'm seeing the problems you're having with it, or breakout with the skin, or da. And I'll say, I'll never put it out there that, oh, you have cancer or whatever, because what happens if I am wrong? But I don't want to put that energy out there to someone, so I'll just tell them, I said, you need to see this kind of a doctor and whatever, and have them check. Oh, Artie, what do you see? I said, I'm not sure. It's just in this area, I'm seeing darkness and you just need to check it out. And usually I'm right. I'm usually right about stuff. So
don't read me that way. Stay away.
No, but like I said, I hold on a second. So Jason, what's your last name?
Pollock. Pollock. Pollock.
Sometimes the shit gets so bad in your life. It's like, I feel like at times I need to get stoned. I need to get drunk. It's like sometimes you get so overwhelmed with dealing with certain depressions or whatever. It's like I need to escape from the reality. And I feel like it's a good idea that when you get overwhelmed with people or situations, it's a very good idea to go to the beach, go to the park, and just take a day off just to gather your thoughts and just visualize the better and stop seeing yourself as a victim, because you see yourself as a victim too much.
That's pretty spot on.
So like I said, so the healthiest thing for you to do is to go to the beach, go to the park, or go to someplace, go to an aquarium, and just be around serenity. And just sometimes you have to step back away from a situation so you could get an overall different perspective or a healthier view, rather than staying like, oh my God. But I feel like you have a tendency to give away your power, and that's nobody else's fault but your own. But you just got to say, all right, it is what it is, and I just got to make it better. It all depends what the situation is. I'm giving you like an overall general read of yourself and all. So, But don't feel like just because somebody else in your family died of a heart attack at this age, or somebody got cancer or Alzheimer or whatever, it's like, oh my God, I'm destined, I'm doomed. So if you keep thinking that, you could create a self-fulfilling prophecy. But just because they've had that at that age doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. So don't put yourself in other people's category. That's like saying if somebody won the multi-million-dollar lottery when they were 62, it doesn't mean that you're going to do it because, well, two of my relatives won it at the age of 60. Maybe I will, Yeah, it's possible, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen to you. So you could create a better future for yourself. It all has to do with your attitude, positive attitude, and healthy changes. You can't keep on living the same old way or with the same old crap, expecting better outcomes. It's not happening that way. And sir, what is your full name?
Me, I'm Justin Gonzalez.
Justin Gonzalez.
I got to tell you, you summed me up pretty well. I didn't even talk much, but you got a feel for that.
Yeah, well, that's just what I get. Justin, you hate to be wrong. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't like to be wrong, period. But I mean, you're really defiant. Like you really take criticism very personally, even if it's constructive or somebody's trying to tell you something differently. You get very flustered, is what I'm picking up on. Hold on a second. See, but you also enjoy helping people, but almost to a fault. Sometimes you give too much of yourself, or you give certain people too much credit and too much benefit of the doubt, and it ends up hurting you because you give so much of yourself, and you're hoping for some kind of reciprocation or appreciation, and the people who you're helping or the person who you're helping, they're not getting it. You're not getting it from them. Now, I wouldn't say to stop being a nice guy, but if somebody is not appreciating or reciprocating in some way of appreciation, then you need to stop. They don't deserve that kind of help. But I feel like if you see somebody in a fight, you will be the type of person that'll step in and try to help somebody. And hold on. Also, there's going to be a trip to Arizona. You're going to be going to the states around Arizona, if not Arizona itself, or maybe Vegas. But I'm seeing a trip out west.
I think you hit something.
I am so okay. First off, okay. You and I need to just have a cup of coffee, Artie, for a number of reasons. Okay. But first off, what you had mentioned about me having difficulty taking criticism, that is so enormously true, and I'll tell you why. Because I have all this crazy anxiety inside of me, and I don't mind the criticism. My issue is trying to process it, and I have such conflict being able to do it swifter and being able to do it quickly, because I want to be the best version of myself. So I do have such a problem with criticism because it takes so much energy to come to it and to really process it. So I hate criticism.
I'm going to share with you a song. You 100% have to pay attention to all the words. All right. It's by Billy Joel, and it's called Vienna.
Oh, one of my favorite songs.
All right.
I've been listening to it a lot recently.
Right. And Vienna is, maybe that's why I'm picking up on that song, but Vienna represents your dreams. It's not Vienna. That's a metaphor for your dreams. Yeah. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. If you're so smart, then why are you still so afraid? Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so ahead of yourself that you forgot what you need. So it's okay. It's okay. There's no competition. There really is no competition. There's just the excitement of doing life. There's just the excitement of learning and growing. So allow yourself to fall off the bike. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Who gives a crap? Because that's how you're going to learn. So, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. So if you want to learn how to do something, or you need to get certain things accomplished, give the ball to somebody who's already been there and done that, or who has those talents. You don't have to figure out everything yourself. You don't have to reinvent the wheel yourself. And it might be a good idea to write down a to-do list of everything that you want to accomplish, so that it's like your mind's all over the place, and you get overwhelmed, and it's like, oh, but if you write down a game plan of your goals or your achievements, what you want to do the step-by-step plan and take time out to write it down, and what would be a healthy way to get there, or maybe I have to take classes, or maybe I have to, invest a little more money in myself or in marketing if I want to get there and all. But you know what? You learn from your mistakes. You bask in the glory when things go right, but you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. Well, the second thing that you had mentioned was about the fact that I give too much of myself to people who might not necessarily
Deserve it.
Deserve it, right? And it's so fun. Jason and I were actually just on the radio with Steve Trevelise last week, and we were a perfect example of that sort of situation. We were talking about, would you give money to someone who asked you for money for gas? Just some stranger that just comes up to you at the gas pump. Would you give them money? And I said I would go over to the gas pump. I'd buy them gas. That's what I do. And again, that's like that's going above and beyond to do that. I just think
and that's fine to do that. That's fine to do that. When you give money to somebody, you got to give it unconditionally. Whether they choose to use it as drugs or alcohol or whatever, the bottom line is you get 100% full credit spiritually from the Holy Spirit for your kindness in your heart. What they choose to do with it is strictly up to them. And I'm going to tell you a really interesting story. And then it sounds like I'm bragging about myself, and I promise you I'm not. It's just a very interesting story, and I want people to be inspired by what I have to tell them, because it was a story that happened to me. So I'm in Penn Station, New York, and I was with my wife, who, when I was married at the time, I was at Penn Station, and a street person asked me for a few cents. Do you have some change? So I gave him a $5 bill. And he said, God bless you. Thank you. And about 30 seconds later, a guy came up to me and he says, excuse me, sir. He says, did I just see you give that poor person money? I said, yeah. He goes, why did you do that? I said, because it's my way of showing God, thank you for the quality of my life. And I said, and I'd rather be the person who could afford to give away a free $5 than the person who needs a free $5. So he put me in a power position to be able to do that. And so I'm thanking God. So as I share more of myself with others, God keeps on providing for me in so many different ways.
Yeah.
He looked around and he looked at me, goes, wow, because that was a good answer. He goes, he says, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah. Sometimes I think that's something that a lot of people forget, is that we are given gifts, but they're not always gifts for us to hold on to. They're gifts for us to give.
That's just like the freaking lottery number. I've given out over 100 winning lottery numbers.
God bless you.
And every time I played the lottery, every time I try to play a lottery number that I given, it never came out, not once. But when I give it to other people, we got a shot. You got a shot. And a lot of people have said, hey, Artie, I hit this, I hit that, I hit this. I don't see jack crap from it, but hey, good for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I never have to work again, and I owe you, Artie. I'll get you a coffee next time.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And believe me, that crap has happened before. Here's Dunkin' Donuts and a small hot chocolate for you.
Right. Let me hop into my Maserati real quick. Right.
There you go.
Okay. So for the last thing, the thing that was the tipping point for me, you had mentioned about Arizona or somewhere near there. You said Las Vegas even. And that was the I stick a fork in me, I'm done. Because just a couple hours ago, I was sitting with my girlfriend and her mother, and we were talking about taking a trip in November to Las Vegas. And so, so I that's crazy. So I now have to go to her and say, hey, I spoke to a bona fide psychic that said that this is in our future soon. So it means it's happening. We got to do it. So we're going to Vegas.
So I want to suggest you might take a few extra days out, because it would be very beneficial for you to visit the Grand Canyon and a few other sites while you're out there, not just Vegas itself and the shows and the dinners, which is great. But trust me, you want to take a little extra time out and maybe go for a helicopter ride and view the sites, and Also, the Grand Canyon, you definitely want to check out while you're there. And
Will
all.
do. It's on the itinerary now, Artie.
It's on the itinerary. So again, another interesting, funny story. I'm doing a reading for this lady, and she's the one hosting the party. She was the very last one. And of course, when a person is finished with a reading with me at a party, they all say, "What did Artie say? What did Artie say? What did Artie say?" So anyway, I told this lady, I said, "Oh, so I see you're going on a cruise." She goes, "No, I'm not." I go, "Yeah, you're going on a cruise." She goes, "No." She goes, "I have nothing planned." She goes, "I'm not going on any boat ride." She goes, "No." I go, "Yeah, I'll be even more specific. You're going on a Carnival cruise. You're going to be away for about a week." She goes, "No, I'm not." So anyway, yada, yada, yada. Her reading's over. I told her a bunch of other things. So she's walking down the hallway, and everybody said to her, "Oh, so what did Artie say?" And she goes, "Artie says that I'm going on a cruise." And everyone started busting out laughing their ass off, because while she was in the reading with me, her husband, which I didn't know this, her husband was in the next room booking a cruise on the Carnival for the 30th wedding anniversary to surprise her.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Artie,
So,
we are coming. Oh, sorry, Justin.
No, I was beating you to it, is what it was. I was going to ask Artie just a couple of questions, because we obviously know on Sundays we can see him on Facebook Live. We can also obviously through your website we can get in touch with you for I'm guessing for readings through this medium. Is that correct?
Yeah, or if you just email me, Artie Hoffman at Gmail, or if you call me on my number, 1-900, no, I'm only kidding.
I was going to say, don't give your number out.
732-778-7173, and I'll repeat it, 732-778-7173. Or like I said, or check me out, Artie Hoffman at Gmail.
But now I was also going to ask, now where are you located in case someone wants to have an in-person Artie party?
Oh, it's a tourist trap, Woodbridge, New Jersey.
Tourist trap.
It's a tourist trap out here, I tell you.
If you call family tourists, yeah.
You'll see my picture on the the cruise lines and everything else, and right down the block is the train to go right into New York City. It's a tourist trap, I tell you. And yeah, so anyway, and then if you check out my website, artiehoffman.com, I have a lot of cool YouTubes on there that will teach you a lot about life. And again, something that I think you'll appreciate, and this works really well because the girl's been winning lots and lots of money with it. I've been selling these money incense that smell absolutely amazing. You get 10 in a pack. They draw in money. They draw in good luck. If you want that job, if you want that love, if you want, it's about money. It's mostly about prosperity. And when I tell you they smell absolutely amazing, it's a different smell. You get 10 in a pack. They each last an hour and a half, and you get a special prayer to say with it each time you burn one. And when you light it up, you just, walk away and do your thing, and you just set your intentions out there. You visualize what it is that you wish to happen, and don't feel guilty or bad whatsoever about asking the universe for money. If the churches and temples could ask everybody for money, so could you. So don't feel guilty or bad. And again, you could call me up or email me, artiehoffman at Gmail, if you wish to know, because I don't like to get prices over the air. But it's not that expensive, and it does draw in really good money. And like I said, you get a wing and a prayer. So this one girl who purchased them from me religiously, her name's Lisa. Last week, she won $134. Before that, she won $100. Before that, the clerk made a mistake on her pick 4 ticket. She hit the pick 4 twice, straight in box, for $7,500 altogether. And
God.
And she keeps on winning concert tickets. The girl, she keeps on telling me all the stories of what she's winning. It's unbelievable.
And you can get this incense on your website, artiehoffman.com.
Yeah, but you call me up or you email me, and I'll call you and I'll tell you how much.
Artie Hoffman at Gmail.
Yeah, and they really are. They're amazing. And like I said, these money incense, they smell great. And if you're worried about cats, dogs, or little kids or whatever, put it in a cup of sand or a cup of dirt and put it in your kitchen sink. So you don't have to worry about what happens, because you don't put it out yourself. It's got to burn itself out.
Yeah.
Well, Artie, thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with us, letting us get to know you a little bit. And everybody, if you want to reach out to Artie, artiehoffman@gmail.com. artiehoffman.com is the website. You can see him on Sunday nights at 8 p.m., Angels and Answers Facebook Live, and get a free reading.
Yeah.
And,
now, mind you, I have a huge following. So there's only so many people who can get read, because there's so many questions coming. But we do try to hit as many people as possible. Plus I tell funny stories. I'm not just about just the reading. I'm talking about like what happened today. Tell you a few jokes, tell you a reading, blah, 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 blah. So I'll leave you with this cute joke, this funny little funny thing. My uncles, my relatives are funny as shit. And when my uncle was alive, he was 81 years old. And he goes, Art, he goes, you want to hear something interesting? He goes, here I am. He goes, I'm 81 years old. He goes, my wife and I, he says, we have sex almost every night. I go, really? He goes, yeah, almost Monday, almost Tuesday, almost Wednesday.
Nice.
Oh,
all right,
gosh.
Artie Hoffman, everybody. Our studio audience. I don't know where the kids came from. That was supposed to be just applause, but all right.
They came from my board.
Oh, okay. That explains it. I was going to say I hit the applause button. Artie, thank you again. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for everybody tuning in. And Justin, you want to do a quick plug? Where are you going to be next?
The next thing I'm doing, I will be next week with the Marian Anderson Historical Society in Philadelphia. It is their, and I will be singing as part of their concert rendition of Porgy and Bess. So go to the Google machine and look up Marian Anderson Historical Society for more information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Take care,
Absolute
everybody.
pleasure.
You have a great night.